Grass. Now, of course, the fact that he uses the word lovers and now love, given what we've just been reading in the earlier lines, makes one begin to kind of wonder, what exactly is it that what game are you playing here with us? And he continues, this is what else I know. Limitless, I told you this is a key phrase in Leaves of Grass. In other words, it's always going, it's always urging, going on, procreate, right? And limitless are leaves. Here we are back to Leaves of Grass, but notice now, using the erotic tendencies already, stiff or drooping in the fields. Now, a lot's been made, of course, of this stiff, drooping thing, as well as we borrow from the earlier set of lines and looking down erect and all of that. And he continues, I know what else is amazing. Brown ants in the little wells beneath them. Now all of a sudden, notice we're going from the big down to the little, to the most infinitesimal. And it's beautiful. It's amazing how he does this. Mossy scabs of the worm fence. By the way, in the 1855, worm fence was one word. Heaped stones, elder, mullein, and pokeweed. Well, what are these? Well, they're the useless leaves of grass. They're the useless weeds, or even that related to the ocean itself. We're going to get back to more of that later in Leaves of Grass. We find ourselves, of course, with Coleridge and Rima, the Ancient Mariner, and those final lines about all things great and small, right? That is to say, a respect for everything. And this is where he ends, now this passage, before, of course, we come to the most famous passage of Leaves of Grass, passage 6 of Song of Myself. Many have pointed out how interesting it is that Whitman set up that passage 6 with these passages that came before that are clearly sexualized, and yet I'm going to go in a different direction. They're clearly biblical in their power of allusions. A-L-L-U-S-I-O-N-S. I mean, I've already quoted just from Song of Solomon 8. Go back and just sit down. The last time you've done that, I don't know, but go back and sit down and just read all of Song of Myself, especially the King James Version, out loud. It is compelling to read it. It's like reading Leaves of Grass out loud. We have said that Whitman, of course, talked in earlier poems of, already we've covered, this new religion that he will want to initiate. And so what is that religion? Well, I think it is the celebration of both mind and body, the celebration of both together. Soul, maybe, is his rendering of that, as we'll think about it. Well, to finish now at 2a, well, there's so many possible messages here. The experience of soul is for Whitman wonderful, it's beautiful, it's ecstatic in every way when one comes to realize that both body and soul are somehow capable of uniting in brilliant ways. Of course, as well, I mean, you could make the argument that all of Leaves of Grass is really about celebrating love and the power of love as that, again, that kelson of everything of the creation, right? It all is there. At 2b, well, the erotic word pictures are quite compelling. Obviously, for you notice the and at the conclusion of this poem. We've seen this already. We've seen this at work in starting from Paumanok. That's why I said to read starting from Paumanok is the way to get ready to read Song of Myself. However, in 1855, think about this, you were only a few lines into the book of poems when you hit these lines and had to ask the question, what in heaven's name are you trying to pull off on us here? What game are you playing? And as I said, I think Whitman knew exactly what game he was playing. It's quite remarkable. At 3a, well, I've mentioned, of course, the Song of Solomon passage from chapter 8, verse 5. I just want to as well mention that in the tradition of Christian mysticism, as well as, of course, in Hindu mysticism and Buddhist mysticism, there is often the use of the sexual language or the erotic language to try to describe some kind of understanding of the union between body, mind, spirit. Well, finally at 3b, guys, I told you, we're reading each of these poems so that you can come to terms and own them in your own way. So now it's your turn. How do you read these lines? To what degree can you even respond to these lines? Like, for example, when was the last time that you had an experience that left you really kind of quivering with aliveness, What was that for you? Probably didn't happen in school, probably happened elsewhere. Maybe it happened as you were loafing on some grass in June, as he will talk about it. What is for you that ability that you have, that capacity that you have, to recognize the brilliance in the world that you live in with the very simplest of things? Pokeweed? Are you serious with this right now? And yet he will argue, no, it's all majestic. It's all beautiful in every way. Nothing should be considered obscene. Nothing should be considered disgusting. When was for you in your experience of nature? How do you understand that, if you do understand that at all? Well, with this set of lines now, we're ready to turn to passage 6, which is the most famous passage from Song of Myself. Normally, if you, for example, are in a literature course or something, and they're going to turn you on to Whitman, they normally don't take you to passage 5 of Song of Myself. They take you to passage 6. However, once we've worked through 1 through 4, we're ready to, 1 through 4 and then 5, we're ready then to turn to passage 6 and to just be literally blown away, no pun intended, given what we're reading here, blown away by what it is, the game that he's going to play now in passage 6 for us. Well, I hope that you're being challenged by this stuff. I warned you when we started. This is going to be some interesting and some challenging stuff in our talks with Walt. Thank you.